And before we start this episode, I'd like to talk to you about the sponsor, which is absolutely no one. If you are a very experienced YouTuber, you need no one in your life. If you're starting out now a channel, you also need no one to help you. And what's left now? It's to roll the intro and start the program. On the decade of 1880, the Eastman Dry Plate Company was founded, and in 1892 it was renamed as Eastman Kodak Company, Kodak as we know it. Eastman Kodak launched in 1888 the first Kodak camera with the slogan, "You press the button, we do the rest." This camera was somewhat cheap, and it was intended to remove photography from this niche of people who actually studied to become photographers and bring it to the masses. This goal was completely achieved when the turn of the century in 1900s, when Kodak launched for just $2 the very first Kodak Brownie. And from one day to the other, Miss Appleby from Twickenham was now able to shoot images of her large bomb. Now, what these Kodak Brownies did was something truly amazing. They were very, very, very cheap, because this is just, cardboard. This is as low as it gets. Then in the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken, they were substituted by metal. But these for $2 were very, very, very cheap, and these got sold by the millions. And all of a sudden, people like the next door neighbor who had no skills whatsoever in photography happened to have one of these ones and to take some really nice images with it. This camera was the very first big discussion in photography, because this camera removed the power from a certain niche of photographers back to the mainstream. Everybody could now do images with one of these cameras. This is one of the earlier models. It still works. It's funny because I still have film inside, and I will have to finish one of these days. The viewfinders are very, very dirty, but I just press the button here and she does everything for me. So it works. It's a marvelous piece of cheap engineering that even today, 120 years after, still works as it should be. Fast forward a few years, these guys come up, and these guys also change all the panorama around photography, because all of a sudden you have a very small camera on your back pocket. And these guys are actually what I think the culprits of a terrible massification of photography, making anyone a photographer or anyone being able to create images. And this is the actual point of it, is that photography is so massificated that there is this saturation of images in this digital age, to a point that it becomes completely senseless to make this kind of photography anymore. There is no point in it. It's gone. It's massified. It lost any meaning that it could have. To give you a very good example on how are we used to take images for any kind of event that we're going, and it's so normal to do it. Here's an image of Axl Rose, the mythical headman of Guns N' Roses, attacking a fan member in 1991 because he was taking photographs of him. This during a concert, and this led to a riot. But you can see how different it was back then. So he jumped from the stage to remove a camera from a fan. And then now at the end you can see now an image of what we expect today of a concert to be, which is mobile phones doing video and capturing photographs. at any given stage of the concert. This is how we are used to produce images. It's kind of like producing images by the kilo. You can even create images through AI that are not real. So there are billions and billions and billions of images created each and every day, which leads us to my second point. So my first point, there is an oversaturation of images around. And second point is there is a great loss of intent in photography on those images that people take. They make images out of anything. So the purpose, the artistic purpose to create an image actually disappeared. Because, well, take a look at me in this case, that I use this to take a note where I parked my car. So on my gallery, I have image after image of my car parked with a number underneath. And as art, it lost its meaning. Another thing that you should have in mind is that no one cares about your photography. And that's okay with it. That's perfectly fine. Think of it this way. If no one cares about your photography, you're not obliged to do things. You can do anything you want at your own pace. It's not that you have to deliver that. You don't have to deliver. You just have to follow what your gut tells you. And that's a very good thing. So take advantage of it. If no one cares, hey, be yourself. I'm trying to get an exhibit on the way, and I've been calling my town hall until they give me an answer. The exhibit is about abandoned places in the place that I live, and in the whereabouts of where I live. So I tried 2 town halls and they're not giving me any answer until now, and I'm okay. I can live with it. I'm still going to photograph the places because I photograph for myself to prove that I'm able to do it. If no one wants to know about it, I'm okay with that. I'm completely fine. Oh, this is really dirty. It's the boogeyman of lenses, with his mouth. And my last point on this subject is that people have actually forgotten the foundations of photography. And I'm very, very sure that, for instance, 99% of all the photographers, they don't know the history of photography. They know that there was this guy called Daguerre that, he did something, and then on Facebook they saw the first photo ever taken. They don't know that much. For if you speak to them about Elliott Erwitt, they will not know who it is, because it's not Ansel Adams, the guy that made the "you don't take a photograph, you make a photograph" quotation. But yeah, they will not know. For instance, in Portugal, we have a very well known, between people that actually know about photography, photographer, which is Artur Pastor. Pastor means shepherd. So Artur Shepherd. And if I go out to anybody with a Canon 1D or with a Nikon Z9, and I ask them about Artur Pastor, they will probably think, oh yeah, it's the shepherd that I've met 50 years ago in the villa of my dad, and he used to cull the herd. If, for instance, you go to a concert and you ask about William Klein, who was William Klein, the photographer next to you will probably know, oh yeah, my boxers are from Klein. He will probably tell you something like this. Klein, it's probably Calvin Klein from the Knickers, and not William Klein. People have actually forgotten the history of photography, and it's a bit sad, because the problems that you have today in photography, the low light situations, the flash photography, they had it also in the 50s and the 60s and the 40s, and it's actually very funny to see how they cope with it, how they found a strategy to deal with it. But for that, you need to know the history of photography. You need to see the work of legendary photographers, which people just don't do. And it's not just, Elliott Erwitt or Calvin Klein, is also Robert Doisneau. I'm pretty sure that even in Paris, people don't know who Doisneau was. The big friend of Ansel Adams, Weston, they will not know who Weston was. And Annie Leibovitz, they will probably know because she photographed Messi and Ronaldo, and then she made a composite shot of both of them, and that's probably what they know about Annie Leibovitz. And most likely Richard Avedon will be the name of a perfume, yeah, somewhere like that. And Salgado will be Sebastião Salgado. Well, I'm pretty sure that you should know who Sebastião Salgado is, but for most of the photographers, Salgado will be, I don't know, a football player somewhere from Brazil or somewhere from Argentina, somewhere there. And I'm pretty sure that Man Ray is probably a Marvel superhero from these, big, what we in Portuguese call, the chiclete films de pastilha. So these are the reasons that people don't give a damn about your photography and don't give a damn about my photography. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And you should be perfectly fine with that too. Photograph for yourself, don't photograph for the others. I mean, these were people which did some really interesting work, to say the least, and they're just completely not known. And if you go to these new photographers and you ask them who these people were, they get all upset with you because why are you talking about these old-timers? What do these old-timers have, to teach me? And the answer is a lot. But again, many thanks for watching this till the end. I hope to see you soon on my next video, or as we say in Portuguese, até à próxima.